Guys, happy Friday. Today we're going to talk about what you do as a seller when that home listing goes stale.
You better get fired up.
Man, it feels good. I love Fridays, baby. I love Mondays. So you ask me, I love every day. Today we're going to talk about what to do as a home owner, right? Or a listing agent when your home has been on the market for a while, you're not getting a whole lot of activity, or maybe you are getting activity and it's just not selling. You're not getting offers, right? What can you do? So I'm going to say this. There are 4 reasons that a home doesn't sell. And I'm going to go through them in the order in which it probably impacts you the most, to be honest. Number 1 is price. And at the end of the day, if your price is where it needs to be, it's going to attract a buyer. I don't care if the house is half on fire. I don't care if it's got wallpaper that is the ugliest wallpaper you've ever seen. If it's priced right, you're going to get showings and you're going to get offers, period. Now, if you want to be towards the higher end of where your comps are, right, your comparable sales, you're going to have to look like those comparable sales. If you're a little bit more dated, you've got some repairs you don't want to fix, maybe the home isn't staged well, whatever it is, you're not going to get that full price, right? So if you're asking full price and saying, we'll work on it when we get an offer, you might not even get the offer. You might not even get the showing because you're not priced where you need to be, right? You got to be priced where you need to be to even start getting the interest. Why? Because there's other options, right? So if your home is worth $500,000 and you're listed at $520,000 and all the other $500,000 homes are listed at $500,000, why would they present an offer on your home when they've got all these others that are appropriately priced, right? They're thinking, man, this is a very similar home, but it's 20 grand over. Or they're comparing your 520 to other 520s, but those 520s are actually worth 520. Yours is worth 500. So it looks like the worst home on their list. So remember all that. Price is incredibly important. If you've been on the market for 30 days and you haven't gotten an offer, you're probably overpriced and you should look at the market again. And markets change. I'm looking at the markets all the time, telling my clients, hey, I think you're overpriced, or hey, I think we're priced appropriately. And when I say that, I support it with market data. This is why. These are the comps I'm seeing. These are the actives I'm seeing. So really, it should be data driven, right? I will tell you this too. I've probably had 500 listing appointments in my life. I don't even know. And I would be willing to bet that 450 of them wanted to list their home at a higher price than what I was telling them it was worth. And if you ask any real estate agent, they're going to tell you the same thing. And it's because all of us think that A, the way to negotiate is to start high, which it's not. It hurts you. And B, we're all in love with our home. Like, that's our home. That's our baby, right? So don't tell me what my home is worth. My home is worth more than that. You don't know what I've got up here, and I got the chrome molding, and I got this, and I did this special thing, and this paint is from, it's a Glidden paint, and it's the most special paint you're ever going to, like, I got it. Everybody's got little things they love about their home. Makes complete sense. But at the end of the day, most buyers aren't going to see those things. They're looking at the major things. They're looking at how many square feet do you have? How many bedrooms and bathrooms do you have? Do you have a pool? How old is your roof? What kind of roof do you have? How big is your lot? Those are the biggest things they're looking at, right? So number 1 is price. Now, I know that's a thing that most people don't want to talk about. So let's go to number 2, right? Number 2 is going to be your presentation. Now, presentation has a lot of different parts to it. Presentation is your photos, right? Do you have professional photography? Or did you have an agent like me who I suck at photography? If I come in and photograph your home, it's going to be a very C+ experience for you, right? It's not going to attract the most amount of buyers. It's not going to get people salivating at the mouth wanting to get into your home and take a look at it. So you're going to want to get professional photos, right? And when those photos were taken, how did the home look? Was it staged wonderfully? Is it also staged at showings wonderfully? Meaning, did you get out a lot of your big, bulky furniture? A lot of you guys have those L couches. I don't know if there's a better word for it, but you know what I'm talking about, right? It's a giant L. And one side of that L will be facing you as you open the main door. So you go to open the main door to the home and boom, you're presented with this big bulky couch that's 8 feet in front of you, right? It doesn't feel so open. It makes this giant room you've got, this beautiful, spacious room you've got, feel really small, right? So the staging matters. The way the photos are presented. Did you have all the lights on? Did you have the windows open? Your lights, do you have those, makes it look a little bit older when you've got yellow lighting in there versus the bright white lights, right? If you've got a really good photographer, better than me, I've got a professional photographer because I know I'm not good. They can take a lot of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Glare off of the lights, right? You're going to have light coming through your windows, through your sliding glass doors. You're also going to have the lights in your ceilings. There's going to be glare from those. A professional photographer will take that out, right? They're going to make sure they're the right size for all the different websites, for the MLS, for Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, Redfin, all those great sites. They're going to make sure that all that looks good. You want to declutter, right? A lot of people, their home is their home. Like, this is my baby. I got my stuff everywhere. I don't want to get rid of all this stuff. It's inconvenient. It's a pain in the butt. But I always tell my sellers, listen, we can go one of two ways. We can either go with convenient, and you're going to make less money, or we can get really inconvenient, where we're going to move a bunch of stuff out. We're going to declutter. It's not going to be exciting to live here for the next month or two, but you're going to make more money. What's more important to you, convenience or money? And then they pick whatever they want to pick, right? But you've really got to look at how you present it. So that's kind of the inside of the home. Then you get the outside of the home, right? You've got curb appeal. You got landscaping. It's crazy what you can do for $500 to $1,000 in landscaping if you put a weekend effort in, right? You can get some nice fresh bushes, flowers, whatever it is, mulch, really makes it look better, edging. You can make your lawn look sharp, right? If you know 4, 6, 8 weeks beforehand that, hey, my lawn's looking a little bit brown, you might want to put some effort into it, some fertilizer, water it, whatever it is, to get that sucker spruced up, looking sharp. And then 2, 3 days before the listing, you want to give it a nice fresh haircut, right? Maybe you need a fresh coat of paint. Paint can be expensive if you hire it out. And if you want to hire it out, right? If you're really concerned about netting the most amount of money, put in some sweat equity, paint it yourself. I can't tell you how often. I love my home. My home is beautiful, but I'm looking at a little trim board right here on my door. And right down here, I got kids, I got a dog. It's all messed up. I got little black marks right here because my kids will put their feet up on here. I've got dog scratches down. Like, it happens. And I see it all the time in the most beautiful homes. People are going to notice that, right? So you want to go over that with a fresh coat of paint. Trust me, it is so cheap to paint it yourself. And with a lot of this stuff, you can do it yourself, right? Is it time consuming? Is it effort? Yes. But if money truly is your biggest motivation, shouldn't be a problem. And then the last part of presentation is your verbiage, right? On the MLS. And really everything with your MLS. But that verbiage is going to sell that person or not sell that person on wanting to go take a look at your home. So put the data in there that most people are asking. Everybody right now wants to know how old your roof is. If you've got an 18, 19, 20-year-old roof, well, number one, there's a way to get it to sold, right? Is put a new roof on. I know it sucks. There's roofers out there right now. And if you DM me, text me, call me, email me, I will give you their names, who will take 20% of whatever. So say the roof is going to be $20,000 roof. I don't have 20 grand. Okay, cool. If you can come up with 20%, which is $4,000, they will go right now and start working on getting you the permit. Okay. And then when you get a buyer under contract and they're going to close in 30 days, 45 days, whatever it is, you put another 20% down. So you've put $8,000, not 20 grand down. They put the roof on and they'll let the buyer pick the color, right? So that's a nice sales pitch over other listings. And now that last 60%, you can pay at closing when it closes. What a phenomenal opportunity for you, right? It gets rid of that excuse of we can't put a new roof on. If you can't put a new roof on, you might be getting rid of all funded options, because funding means you have to have insurance. And if they can't get insurance, then they can't fund it. So now you're using cash only buyers, investors, and they're going to come in $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 low. It's going to cost you, right? So getting that roof on is important. Now, if you've got a new roof, put it in the comments. I can't tell you how often I will go look at a listing and it either does not fill in the date on when the year was installed, or it doesn't say anything about it in the comments. Now, I will say 80% of them, it's because they're trying to mask the fact that it's a 20-year-old roof. I got it. I understand from a marketing standpoint why you're doing that. But 20% of them have newer roofs and they don't mention it in there. And I think, oh, do you know how many realtors, how many buyers are skipping over that because they're not seeing new roof, 5-year-old roof, 2-year-old roof? If they don't see that, you get set aside, right? Also, a lot of data points in the MLS are missed by realtors. They just are. I know I'm human, so I always send the listings to my clients on day one when they come out. And I say, review this all. If there's anything that's a mistake, let me know immediately. We're going to get it updated. I make mistakes. I don't need to be right. I need to get it right for you, right? So don't worry about me. Just make sure that everything's accurate. It's a big part of it. That verbiage needs to sell them emotionally. If all you're doing is regurgitating the same data points they used to look it up, for example, this 4-bed, 3-bath has 2,153 square feet. Well, I know because I searched for a 4+ bedroom, 3+ bathroom with at least 2,000 square feet. So you just wasted the first line on regurgitating information I already know when you could have sold my emotions, right? Think about who the most likely person to purchase that home is. Is it a family with 2 kids? Is it a single man? Is it a young couple? Who is it? And then create verbiage that will most likely attract that person. In my opinion, that's the way to do it, right? Then you've got a documents section in the MLS. This is more for realtors. You can load that with helpful stuff, right? If it's in an HOA, have all your HOA documents there. You're going to need an HOA addendum, sign it, have it prepared there. You don't want to give an excuse for the buyer to change their mind and back out because you didn't have the HOA addendum ready. Have it ready, get it signed, right? Have your seller's disclosures signed. Have all of the HOA paperwork. You're going to have to pull it anyway. Pull it now, get it up there, right? Create a feature sheet. I always say, I don't know who's showing the home. It might be a wonderful agent, it might be a brand new agent. I'm going to make sure I've got a non-branded, because I want them to hit the print button on it, a non-branded feature sheet that shows everything that home has to offer. And a lot of that stuff, when I'm sitting down talking with the seller and they're bragging about their house, I'm taking notes because that's my feature sheet right there, right? So I'm going to create that, put all of that in there and sell your house. That's your job, is to sell it, right? So really sell it by doing the extra work and getting all that stuff in there. So we've talked about price. We've talked about presentation. The next part is marketing. Now with marketing, how many of you as sellers have even asked your listing agent what they do to market your property? And of the marketing that they do, how much of that is unique to working with them versus any realtor would do that, right? And of the marketing they do, have you asked them what the return on investment is? And I'll tell you why I say that. When I was in my 20s and I started selling, I saw every big realtor had a magazine page in, I think it was called the Home Times Magazine in Minnesota. And I said, I got to have a Home Times Magazine page, right? In fact, I had 2, and it was costing me $400 a month per page, so $800. So I was blowing $10,000 a year on these 2 pages in a magazine that I had that sucker for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I never sold one house based on that magazine page. It made my ego feel good, right? And I used it in listings to show people, look what I do. And then they would want to list with me. But in reality, it didn't help me at all, right? So why would I invest that money in that when I could invest it somewhere else and get real leads who buy real houses by putting in real contracts? So I started to look at all the marketing that I did, and I said, okay, I'll commit to anything for a year. But when I do it, I'm going to put the money in and I'm going to look at the ROI. And if I'm not getting direct ROI that I can measure, then I'm going to put that money somewhere else where I can measure it and it's coming back strong. Now, as a listing agent, I should be able to communicate to you, the seller, what I'm putting that money into, how it's impacting my business, which in turn is impacting your ability to sell, right? So what marketing am I doing? Why am I doing it? And you'll know if you've got an agent who's doing great marketing, they're going to say, well, I did this because it gets me this ROI, which helps you in this way by getting you this many offers on average. And I did this because of the blah, 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 blah. And I did that. If you ask somebody who doesn't know how to market, they're going to say, yeah, I got a magazine ad and a billboard and I buy Zillow leads. And that's it. They're not going to tell you what their return on investment is. They're not going to tell you how many homes they sell because of it. Really dig into how they're marketing your home, right? It's very important. Last thing is your offer to the other agents, right? And so a lot of times what happens is you'll have a buyer, and this is going to become a bigger deal now with the new settlement that's in place, right? There was a National Association of Realtors settlement stating that you cannot display or advertise the commission payout on the MLS, meaning this, a seller, let's just say mythically they're paying 6%. And let's just say that the agreement between the agent and the seller is, I'm going to keep 3% of that for the list side, and the other 3% is going to be offered as compensation for the buyer's agent, right? And we're going to use that to attract a buyer's agent. You might think, well, A buyer could choose any home. They can. But now, in literally, I think it's August, so we've got 3 months. And already a lot of the more professional agents are doing this. When you build a relationship with a buyer, you've got a contract and it says you're locked in at X percent, whatever that percent is, right? So if you've got a buyer locked in at 3% and you go to look at a home and that home is only paying out 2% or 2.5% or maybe zero, right? Now that buyer to buy that home has to pay that difference. Well, that's not very attractive. So why wouldn't they just go look at another home where they're paying all that amount and they don't have to come with the cash? There's a lot of homes out there for sale, right? So in a seller's market 2, 3, 4 years ago, you could get away with lower commission payouts. Now it's going to become more and more and more competitive, in my opinion. This is my opinion, right? So I'm already seeing the discussion where with my buyers, I've got them locked at a certain percentage and I'll say, hey, you're locked in at X. These guys are X minus, say, 1. Do you want to pay the difference? Do you want me to try to negotiate? What do you want me to do? And some of those buyers are saying, no, let's go to look at another home, or, hey, let's drop the price by that amount, or whatever it is, but you're going to get hit on that, right? So for me, I want to make sure that it is attractive to come in as a buyer's agent, bringing your buyers. I want it to be attractive to the buyers. I don't want them to think that they got to pay extra. I want them to know that they can come in and they're not going to have as much cash out of pocket, right? So getting a payout that is attractive to a buyer's agent and to a buyer, to me, is incredibly important, right? So there are 4 things. Again, you've got the commission payout, you've got the presentation, you've got the marketing, and you've got the price. And I kind of went into depth on all of those because there's obviously sub things that you can do within each one of those groups. If you've got any questions, comments, or anything that you would recommend to get a home sold, certainly put it in there. We want to see all those sale listings get under contract as quickly as possible. Guys, I appreciate you joining me. Hope you're having a great week, and I hope you have an even better weekend. Take care.